Peace and blessings. Keep up the lessons. You know who this is. Crypto B-Boy coming back at you again. Haven't been with you guys. Apologize, but I'm back. So we're going to get into some good news today. And something that I came across dealing with merging digital technology as we see in the future that where money is going, fintech, blockchain, crypto, digital assets, so forth, right? But merging with old traditional assets or wealth, as we know, precious metals. So hang in there with me and we going to see. Are you ready? Let's get it. Ow. All right. So basically, I'm going to just let you see a video. It's going to be dealing with a few main high profile financial knowledgeable people in the area of finance, in the area of precious metals. Andy Schechner, uh, um, Liz, Lynette, I can't remember her last name, but you'll hear the people as they are being announced, or they actually they'll be on the podium on the platform speaking and being questioned by the host of, and it's Glint is the video based on Glint, which is a company that has made that merge of utilizing finance and investing in precious metals and being able to have them be interoperable with digital technology that they can, in a sense, almost like tokenize gold or tokenize precious metals, right? And this is what this company is about. It's not an exactly tokenization, but it is the way of how they decided to merge technology of digital technology and to be able to store precious metals on their platform or in their with their company as a customer or as a client for their company. And the name is Glint. So just check it out, listen, and bear with me.
Hello, can you hear me? Okay, cool. We'll just pass it along. But let's start with how do physical precious metals fit into the digital world?
Well, they didn't until I had the idea that they should. Look, I think that what is digital? I mean, it's just a really communication system, and I purposely actually kind of shied away from using the phrase digital gold, for instance, because it kind of implies that it's not gold. I tend to say it's using gold in electronic payments, because really all we're doing with, for instance, with Glint, with the app, is just a medium, a secure medium to get instructions from our clients. We're just the custodian and the servant of those customers. And if they want to buy some gold, 1 cent's worth of gold, or sell it, or if they want to send it to somebody else, or they want to use it in a transaction with a MasterCard, they're just using that as an instruction. So fundamentally, the word digital, I think, sometimes can confuse things. We're talking about physical gold, certainly with Glint anyway. It's not always the case, as we've seen with ETFs and things like that, which are not backed by gold. So I think you've got to be very careful about making sure you understand what you're working with. But certainly with us, something that I've been really keen to focus on is that we don't let the technology get in the way of what it is we're working with. And so we actually don't use a blockchain with Glint, and we don't use an ETF structure or anything like that. When you're buying gold on Glint, you're buying a milligram or a gram or a kilo or multiple kilos of gold. That is your gold that you own, and all the app and the platform is doing is a secure means to take your instructions, really. And it doesn't mean that of course, lots of things can be built on top of that. When you introduce technology to something, you create a level of scalability that allows, low latency, highly scalable platform that allows all kinds of wonderful things to happen. So when I paid for my Wi-Fi on American Airlines at 35,000 feet in the air, what's going on? Well, I was just giving instructions to the platform to sell my gold just enough into the currency of the merchant to pay for that transaction. But really what we're building is not just a way to be able to buy gold or save it or send it or spend it. What digital enables gold to do is to participate in electronic payments, but also to create a global gold-based financial services system built based on gold. And we can build anything that we want to on top of those kind of digital platforms. Anything that exists in the existing incumbent financial system, which is, as we all know, based on a corrupted form of store of value, we can do on top of a gold-based platform. In a similar way to the DeFi movement within crypto, you can do the same with gold. There's absolutely no reason why we can't do that.
Well, I would also say that it can democratize gold ownership, which is really, really critical, especially for those people that don't have that much money to work with. So they can buy a small piece. And of course, you guys know I always have my props, and so here's an ounce of gold. But in the digital world, I mean, that's the direction that we're going in. And so we have to be able to commingle the two. And what it really does is it keeps money honest in any form. And that is what is critically important to me, is sound money platform. So, we have to move along with the times, and there's a lot of wonderful.
Just to let you guys know, this is Lynette Zang. That's her name. So not to cut you guys out, but we'll continue.
Things. But for me, it also has to be convertible, because if you don't hold it, you don't own it. And if you can't convert it back into the physical form, is it really there? How do you even know? So it is trust. It is confidence in any form, whether it's digital or it's physical.
I've always had a problem with the adversarial relationship between the crypto camp and the hard money camp, because to me, they're very symbiotic, and we should be, instead of adversarial, it should be a complementary situation.
And this is at Andy Schechner. And just what he just said. I'll bring it back a little bit, but it's very, very significant about the coming together of digital with gold or silver or precious metals. And the CEO, I think he's the CEO of Glint, or one of the main higher ups in Glint that just was speaking earlier. He basically was trying to let you know how their company deals with gold, but they don't use blockchain as the technology for the component to transfer it into digital form, like tokenization and so forth. But Andy Schechner speaks about how the basic understanding of all this happening is important. So just listen in again, real quick.
Instead of adversarial, it should be a complementary situation. But what really pushed me over the edge was a man that I find to be one of the smartest I've ever encountered, and his name is Zoltan Pozsar. And Zoltan used to work at the New York Federal Reserve, and now I think he's at UBS, I forget, but his explanation of where we are right now in history, he calls it Bretton Woods 3. Bretton Woods 1 is when we took over for the pound sterling at the end of World War II. Bretton Woods 2, I guess you could say loosely, is when we became the petrodollar. And arguably that is that's something that is debatable whether or not it has long legs left in it. But Bretton Woods 3 is a system that he said would be defined by transparency. To me, that's blockchain. That's perfect segue into XRP. And commodities, where, and pardon my French, okay, I'm sorry, but let's just be real. The US dollar shit the bed so bad that who's going to ever drink that Kool-Aid again, right? Who's going to drink that Kool-Aid again, right? So a marriage between blockchain technology and 5,000-year-old money, where the central banks of the world have bought more in the last 3 years than any time ever, should tell you that we're on the same team. And instead of being adversarial, I think not only does your portfolio become exponentially stronger having a interest in both, but I think in order to make a new system that is widely adopted, you have transparency via blockchain and immutability via gold and silver, which have been money since the beginning of time. So it's not either or, you guys. It should be both, and it only makes your portfolio that much stronger.
Lynette, how does the digital system support building community?
Well, it's global, and we have to go global, and we have to have the ability to come together. So really, the digital system would really support the global community, which is critically important right now as we transition into a new social, economic, and financial system. And community, for me, has become the single biggest issue and the most important part of my work, local and global. But on the global foundation, I want to have us to have a seat at the table in the new system. So that's where it fits in. It gives us potentially the ability to grow that global community and have a seat at the table and help make the decisions on what this new system looks like.
Jason, you talked about this yesterday, but a lot of these people were at Lynette's event. Talk about the building momentum across 25 U.S. states to make gold legal tender.
So last August, I found out that during proceedings at the Texas Senate on something to do with transactional gold legislation, which I knew nothing about, that Glint had been mentioned, because they said, look, if we enable and authorize transactional gold, we'll need a platform like Glint. So I got in touch with them, and I was blown away by this grassroots initiative, not just in Texas, but actually I came to learn 25 US states across the United States of America that are using a right enshrined in the Constitution. If you don't know, check it out now on your mobile phones. It's Article 1, Section 10, Clause 1 of your US Constitution says that a US state cannot make anything a currency except gold and silver. And of course, this is the wonderful privilege you have in the United States. It's the United States of America, not the United Provinces of America. The states can keep the federal government in check. And I think I see the states suddenly waking up and going, we're going to use our powers for once and actually push back on what's happening. And government that's closer to the people, I think, is better for the people. You actually have the tantalizing possibility in January, February, and March of next year to get behind the legislators, some incredible treasurers. There's some, in some states, governors and lieutenant governor support for this. You guys have the opportunity right now, this is happening now, to actually vote in a sound money currency. Isn't that what we've been waiting for? You have the right, you have the ability to do it, and it's happening, and it's going to happen faster than you can think. January's going to be here so fast, and this is real. This is really, really happening. But I mean, you might be thinking, well, if Glint exists, for instance, why does the state need to get involved? Well, we've all seen what the federal government and federal institutions can do. Our friends at the SEC and their ability to interpret laws or make them up as they go. The states need to, number one, protect the rights of citizens to be able to use gold and silver as money. And secondly, by authorizing it as an official currency of the United States of America, I mean, it's going to send shockwaves around the world. What it does mean is that the IRS should not be able to charge capital gains tax on your sound money just for keeping its purchasing power.
A question for all of you. and we're all investors. Our invested thesis is evolving all the time. What percentage of our portfolio, or what percentage of your portfolio, should be precious metals, and explain a little bit of the logic behind your number? Let's start with Andy, please.
I think you work backwards from the reality that everyone talks about a $34 trillion debt. Let's put that in perspective. A trillion seconds ago was 31,688 years ago. So when we talk about how big the numbers are, they're unobtainable. You'll never fix them. And that excludes the unfunded liabilities. Medicare Part B is over 90 trillion underfunded. Medicare Part D, the prescription, 22 trillion underfunded. Social Security, 77 trillion underfunded, and that excludes military and government pensions and all the entitlements. We are broke and we are insolvent, and we are going around the world weaponizing the dollar, saying, you can do this, but you can't. We can do whatever we want. We can give money to the Ukraine, but China, if you give 1 penny to Russia for their war machine, we will sanction you, your companies, your banks, and even Beijing itself, so don't even try it. And so what I would say to you is, it seems to me that the dollar is in a state of terminal decline. And I'd work backwards from there. To me, gold and silver are not an investment. When I started my company 34 years ago with my father, he said to me, there'll be one rule or I'll fire you. All right, I'm 20 years old. What's that? He says, you'll buy some gold or silver every 2 weeks when you get paid. So when I talk about gold and silver up here, you guys, it's not an investment to me. It's money, it's wealth. It's wealth that's outlived 2 world wars, German hyperinflation, the Great Depression, every pandemic, and anything the world's ever thrown at it. And ask yourself, is this world a little messed up right now? Is this world a little bit different than it's ever been? Is what's happening around the globe and within our own borders scary? I mean, it is to me. So I'd work backwards from there and say, what exposure do you want to a system that is in terminal decay? What exposure do you want to a system that you will never, ever normalize your balance sheet? So what are the options? Inflate, default, or maybe find a villain. And that villain would be Xi Jinping and OPEC and Putin. And how could they do this to us? That's debatable. But the point of it is that I think we're at a road where if you are not a contrarian, you're destined to be a victim. And if you're fully invested in dollars, you're destined to go broke. And so the marriage between blockchain technology and gold has never been more important to really think about on a deep level. And for me, if I told you how much gold and silver I owned, I'd probably have no credibility. But I'll just simply say this to you, that I have far more comfort in having far more gold than any so-called financial advisor would say is prudent, than being invested in dollars that continue to lose value and lose respect around the globe.
To Andy's point as well, with all of that debt, we have to reset the system. So I don't like any of that exposure, and I don't know exactly what is going to survive it. I have an idea of what's not going to survive it. So 100% of my wealth goes into food, water, energy security, barterability, which is silver for me, gold, which is wealth preservation, community, spending time with helping build the community, and shelter. Because these are all the things we need to sustain a reasonable standard of living. And I want some purchasing power left to go into that next system. So I'm a tangible gal. There's no doubt about it. And gold and silver in any form is monetary at its base. So in fact, I'll put my neck on the line. Looking at the monetary velocity, I believe we're already at the beginning stages of the hyperinflation to clear off all of this debt to enable the new system to come in. So yeah, I'm all in.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with both of you, of course, that, gold is money. It's the only form of money, really. Everything else is credit. Central banks, ultimately, it's their currency of last resort for them. We've seen them buying unbelievable amounts. And of course, the system has been purposefully creating this veil across our eyes that kind of said, I was listening to one of your videos the other day, I mean, kind of taking the mickey out of some of these phrases they have in this global financial system documentation about how reliable our currency is. I mean, it's a complete joke. You know, we're regulated, by the way, in the UK, and of course the regulators there are like, oh, you've always got to say, every single time you talk about gold's purchasing power, you've got to say, whilst we believe and see that the purchasing power of gold over time increases, we've got to point out that it can sometimes go up and down. When did you ever hear a bank saying anything about that and your purchasing power of your money? Never. And I think it's really important that we separate gold and we see it as money. It's not an investment. Investments are really important for growth. They're important for our communities, as you say, that we invest in other people's businesses and other people's lives, and we help them grow. And in return, we get growth from that in our own capital base. But when we want to be able to, money is something you should be able to save without risk, and it should be something you shouldn't spend when you want to. And I think my first investor in Glint and one of our first customers, he's now, I think, 92 years old. He said in a very posh English accent, he said, Jason, what I love about Glint is that it allows me to put my ready money into gold. And of course, I encourage people, whether it's with us or some other system you can find, to be able to do some of that.
Okay, so, basically it's the same thing with me. That, Glint is a company and they do what they do. But At Cost Metals is a company too. And they're very, very good at what they're doing. They are almost right at the full launch. Everything's going. And they're new, but they know what they're doing. We have the owners that know what they're doing. We have the people who are in the place of doing everything that it takes to get a good product, whether it be gold, silver, and other metals, precious metals, and that for at cost. So those of you who watch this video, I brought a sense of what's going to be hopefully in the future in relation to blockchain technology merging with digital assets and all real world assets to come. In soon, I will be also dealing with tokenization and giving people an understanding of what that is and what is that soon to come, in line with precious metals as well being tokenized. And so this is a future thing, and we need to take a look and see and be aware. And me, knowing me, most of you guys know, hey, I'm about awareness, and that's what I try to do for you guys. So I appreciate you guys being with me. We're going to finish up here, and, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you are not already subscribed. Also, click the like button, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, click the like button, comment in the comment section, and the likes of this. And there's more to come. I will try to be back to you guys. It's been a while, and I appreciate all of those who are subscribing to me still and hanging in there with your bro. Until next time, I'm out. You have a great day. Peace and blessings. Keep up the lessons.